Cyber security is considered to be a luxury, not a necessity in many countries. However, its importance has not yet been fully appreciated or acknowledged in Nigeria. It might surprise you to know that cybersecurity budgets in many organizations are reported to be less than 1%. However, many countries have developed legislation to fight cyber crimes. The federal government's recent licensing of 27 data protection companies in an effort to guard against data theft and privacy violation has been described as a welcome development for all data users in the country. And as the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy put it during the observance of International Data Privacy Day on the 28th of January, digital economic growth cannot take place without adequate guarantee of data protection. As the world becomes increasingly technology-driven, this is no doubt an inescapable fact. It is in this context that I welcome you to Nigeria Today. Our guests will be on hand shortly to analyze the ins and outs of Nigeria's data protection strategy. Welcome to the program. I'm Dennis Adigunloye. And in the studio to discuss Nigeria's data protection strategy is the Director General and the Chief Executive Officer of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, in person of Kashifu Inua Abdullahi. You're very welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you.
All right, and also joining us is a data protection expert in person of Michael Olugbemi. Thanks also for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, DG, let me come to you first. Just to lay the foundation, the average Nigerian might consider data to be the credit we purchase to be able to access Facebook, WhatsApp, and that kind of thing. But obviously, data has a broader and wider meaning. Just to highlight for us exactly what is data and why it needs to be protected.
Data, like we live in a very exciting time of technological advancement where we create a huge enormous amount of data every day. For example, when you wake up in the morning and put on your mobile phone, from that moment you start generating data. Your mobile phone will take the location you are. It will synchronize with other mobile phone around. And as you prefer for work, enter your car. If you have smart speaker on your car, it will synchronize with it. It will record your speed as you drive to the office, as you interact with people, it does. And also we use it to make call, we use it to browse internet, we use it to watch videos on internet, listen to audios, and also we use it to interact with our friends. So with all this, we are generating a lot of data. And there are personal data around it because we chat with our friends, and on that process of chatting, you share information with your friends. We go to Google and get information. So all this record, our phones keep it. And to some extent, our phones knows ourselves better than we know ourselves. Because if you take your phone, it can depict how you spend your life, who do you associate with, places you visit more. It can tell you all this. But as a human being, it will be difficult to remember all this.
Sure.
So, and in addition to that, all computers, mobile phones, smartphones, they take data as input and output, and they generate data as the byproduct of whatever they do. That's why we are in the era of big data.
Sure. So no matter what we're doing on our mobile phones or computers, we're always leaving some kind of footprints. One
Yes.
record that cannot be erased, no matter how. All right, Michael Olugbemi, let me come to you. Why is there a need for data protection?
All right, thank you. So I'll take it from where you stop. As regards digital footprints that we leave here and there. So footprints, digital footprints, a representation of who we are and what we do on the internet. So regardless of whatever devices we are using, so long as we generate digital footprints, these become very valuable to anybody out there that's available to make business. So your digital footprints are a representation of who you are. It's like a digital image, your digital image on the internet. So therefore, why we will need data protection regulations is to safeguard the activities of companies, safeguard activities of government, if I would put it that way. So there needs to be a check on what companies are doing with digital footprints of people, or consumers rather. So we need to check what the government, how much the government actually knows about people, about its citizens. Okay. So therefore, the last reason I would also give is because when your digital footprints falls into the wrong hand, that becomes a gold mine. So, for example, your medical records, when it lands in the hand of a pharmaceutical company, so let's say 10 million medical records of citizens fall into the hand of a pharmaceutical company, that becomes a gold mine, because they can now target you with products related to your health challenges. Thank you.
All right. Okay, coming back to you, DG, then, in that case, how much of our data currently has been secured or is protected, and who would be in charge of this data protection?
I think to appreciate this government strategy, is good to share the background with you from where we are coming.
All right.
In 2016, Nigerian economy plunged into recession as a result of oil price crash.
Yeah.
And the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, came with initiatives. One among them is Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. That initiative has three broad objectives. Firstly, to restore growth. Secondly, to build globally competitive economy. And thirdly, to accelerate inclusive growth by investing in our people. So this initiative set the tune of digital economy and data protection. So because the initiative has identified ICT as enabler to achieve this. And when you talk about investing in our own people, means you are talking about diversifying to knowledge-based economy from resource-based economy.
Okay.
So at NIDA, we started working on a strategy on how to transform the Nigerian IT sector so that we can diversify the Nigerian economy from resource-based to knowledge-based. So when the current Minister for Communications and Digital Economy was the Director General of NIDA at that time, we set up a strategy which has 7 strategic pillars. Firstly is regulation. The regulation is about creating the enabling environments and opportunities, because at that time, on the 6th of May, 2017, the Economics published an article that the world's most valuable resource is no longer oil, but data. Yep. So that also helped us to start looking at what kind of regulation do we need to put in place to harness this data we are talking about. Then on the 25th of January, 2019, the agency, under the leadership of the current Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, issued a Nigeria Data Protection Regulation. The objectives of that regulation is, the regulation has 4 objectives. Firstly is data privacy protection, to protect personal data. Secondly is to ensure secure exchange of data And thirdly is to improve business environment. And fourthly is to create sustainable job.
Okay.
Because we want to harness that data. That's why we came up with these 4 objectives.
And are you meeting the targets of these 4 objectives so
Yeah,
far?
sure we are. In just less than a year, we've licensed 27 DPCOs, Data Protection Compliance Organizations. So this is entirely new industry. It doesn't exist at the beginning of 2019. So it was after the issuance of that regulatory instrument, we created this industry. And so far, this industry, they have created more than 1,000 jobs.
Okay.
And also it has been valued at more than 2 billion naira. This happened within less than a year.
That's quite an achievement.
Yes, because if you look at our competitive advantage in Nigeria, our population, our youthful population is a competitive advantage. In a digital economy, population is a competitive advantage because it is about data. It's a data-driven economy.
All right, we'll come back to some of those points shortly. Michael, in terms of, let's say you go to register your BVN or your national identification number, can these not be linked so that doing these things are not a regular or frequent occurrence?
Okay, thank you.
So I mean, these would qualify as part of your data, your personal data, obviously.
Yes, so there's what we call data portability, which is the ability for your data, your personal data, to be transferred from one organization to the other.
Okay.
So if I remember, the NDPR, like the DG rightly said, and the GDPR talks about data portability, that there must be a mechanism in place as a data controller or as a data organization. There must be mechanisms in place for your customers or data subjects to transfer their data from your company to another company.
Okay.
So to limit the continuous processing, for example, unnecessary release of your personal data from one organization to another. For example, you mentioned BVN. So we all know that BVN is linked to all your accounts. And so you do the BVN, you enroll for BVN in just one financial institution. So when you go to another bank, even if you hold another account in that particular bank, you would not need to enroll for BVN again. So the same will apply to health organizations, that's hospitals, pension fund administrators. So I think we should put in place mechanisms when this regulation comes into full force. I mean, by the time we begin the enforcement, I think we're going to see companies putting in place such mechanisms to ensure ease of transfer. There should be an ease in transferring your personal records or your personal data from one company to another, so you don't have to go ahead to give them again. You just notify them that company A, kindly transfer all the personal data you hold about me to company B.
All right. In terms of protecting oneself, individuals and corporate organizations protecting themselves from cyber criminals, what is the best way? What are the best strategies in securing you, protecting yourself from hackers and those kind of elements?
Thank you for that question. So first of all, I would say in the era of internet, this information age, whereby you're always quick to push out there details or informations about you, your personal informations. This might include your location, where you are on vacation, the kind of car you drive, and quite a number of them. So the responsibility, first of all, lies on you as the owner of that data. So you should only share what you want to be out there. In other words, you think very well before you post. Think before you put it out there. Because once you put out your personal data out there on social media, on different internet platforms, you no longer become the custodian.
Sure.
So to protect yourself against hackers and the likes of them, you'd make sure you're using secured passwords. So what I mean by secure password is having a password that has multiple components. You have alphabets, you have digits, you have symbols, and at least it should be minimum of 12 digits. Yes,
okay.
12 characters, the password. And then secondly, you must also be on the be on the lookout. If you need to buy things with your card online, then check that the website is properly secured. And then the rest, of course, are things that you could learn as the day go by.
All right. Okay. The topic we're discussing is Nigeria's data protection strategy on this edition of Nigeria Today. We'll take a quick break now to listen to some views of members of the public on this topic. They spoke earlier to our correspondent, Ololade Alayaki.
I think the government of Nigeria need to do much to give coverage to the data of Nigerians. The government should go a long way to ensure that every data online should have proper coverage. And once those proper coverage is done, then the data of Nigerians will be covered. A lot of things is happening online. Hackers are out to hack data, and then a lot of money has gone.
Yeah, I think there should be laws and all these online activities going on should be licensed. Because recently I suffered from Facebook, WhatsApp hacking, and it caused a lot of damage. If there are laws that checkmate all these things and stiffer penalties are put in place, all these menace of fraudsters out there will be curtailed. Yeah.
Left for me, I would like let everybody has a particular ID that only you can access. No matter how it's being hacked, only you can access the particular password to your account. That's the simple truth.
All right, welcome back. This is Nigeria Today, where we are discussing Nigeria's data protection strategy. Our guests are still here, Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITSTA, Kashifu Inua Abdullahi, and Michael Olubemi, a data protection expert. DG, you heard some of the comments from some members of the public there.
Yes.
How would you assess their understanding of how important it is that data is not compromised?
Yeah, like the first one, he was talking about having like a centralized database, which I think the government has been working on achieving that. We have them in silos now, but at NIDA, we already have 2 regulatory instruments that can help government harmonize all the database. Firstly, we have the Nigerian government interoperability framework, which will help integration and data exchange, because on a silo systems, different systems has different data format. There is what is called data architecture, the way you input your data. For example, like date, we write it, some write the day, month, and year. Some write it the month first. Like name, some write the surname first, then first name. Some write it in the reverse case. So in this case, it will be difficult to harmonize. So we are working with the MDAs to make sure they have the same format. Then secondly, we have the Nigerian government enterprise architecture. The architecture gives 360 view of the government investment in ICT, because different MDAs are investing on different systems. NIDA is the clearance house for all government IT projects. So we use this instrument to make sure there is that integration and systems can easily exchange data. Then secondly, on the protection, you know, mostly these cybersecurity breaches are as a result of social engineering. Number one, awareness is key. Number two, like what Michael said, you should not let your personal information out for public consumption. So there are some key tech home someone can use. For example, before you start using any network device, either computer or smartphone, it's good to check for the privacy settings, whether it is application or social media. It's good to do your privacy settings before you start using it. And secondly, avoid using unsecured Wi-Fi, especially free Wi-Fi for financial transaction, like banking and shopping online. And use a stronger password, because the stronger your password is, the harder
it is to
break.
All right, Michael, these hackers, they become more and more ingenious in so short a space of time. What is it that they actually get involved in? What kind of work do they do that brings them up to speed with what's the latest fraudulent tendencies and practices? How can these be checked?
Okay, sophistication, you mean?
Sophistication, correct.
Yes.
That's the word.
Okay, so now it's with the advent of faster internet services. I mean 4G and fiber optics. Users now have access to tools that were restricted formerly to top government agencies that have larger bandwidth of internet. But with cheaper access to internet comes the downside of giving people access to tools. And when I mean tools, tools are being used for hacking, and most of these tools are available on the internet, where we actually call dark web. So most of these tools are available. So if you don't have the skills required, you could actually go to these dark markets and hire somebody to do the bad work for you. So you can hire someone to do a denial of service attack. You can hire someone to hack financial institutions to get credit cards for you. So there are quite a number of things that people need to do. Once you just have the money, you don't really need the skill these days. And I must really say that our media houses should really, I think I came across a publication where they were asking a cyber criminal exactly how he perpetrates those crimes. And he was giving them step by step. And I was surprised to find that video online. The sites he mentioned, the tools he mentioned, these were things that anybody can just Google and go straight to there and get those things. So we must make sure that in exposing these criminals, we must make sure that we just limit what the public hear, because just a 10-year-old that understands English can go ahead and get these tools. Yes, and will cause havoc.
We certainly don't want that. All right, DG, let me give you the final word. Briefly, just give us your last comments on data protection and strategies and taking this fight against cybercrime forward.
I think for me, the most important, we need to take control of our data, because whoever controls your data controls your world. We live in a digital world, driven by a digital economy, which is powered by data. So the data we generate is what these big giant techs are using to make money from it. Because the information you put it on Facebook, on other social media, they use it to make money out of it. They use it to sell your information to vendors so that they can give you personalized product. Because we are moving to a world of personalization. People like to have a product custom made for them. So this techie giants, that's what they do.
Okay.
They take your personal data, personalize product, and push it to you.
All right.
So let us take control of our data. Whoever takes control of whoever controls our data
Controls our lives.
our lives.
All right, DG NITSDA, National Information Technology Development Agency, Kashifu Inua Abdullahi. Thanks for your expertise and analysis of our topic this night.
Thank you.
Thank you, and also thanks also to our data protection expert in person of Michael Olugbemi. Thanks very much for your expertise also.
You're welcome.
All right, and thanks to our viewer. Remember, you can watch this and any other edition of Nigeria Today on our YouTube channel on your screen there, youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. The program returns every weekday at 7:30 p.m. Thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adigunloy. Thank you, sir.